Have you ever turned on a game and had next to zero fun with the experience? It almost seems as if playing the game is a mindless routine rather than a way of having fun. You might even switch games in a desperate attempt to escape the hardships of life, or maybe you are seeking some kind of sweet dopamine release, all to feel the same sense of pointlessness in the game. I've been there for years now, locked into what seems like an endless loop of soulless gaming experiences. For years, I've been more or less trying to stay up to date with what's trending. Even the game I'm playing right now really doesn't do much for me. The game started off somewhat fun, but I quickly noticed the developers favored profit over actually creating a game that truly felt alive. So many of these modern games, and to some extent the modern way of living, it has us trapped in some kind of like endless cycle. I don't know, you guys probably don't know this about me, but I'm like a big heavy metal guy. And it always takes me back to this lyric from a Megadeth song. It's not even close to my favorite song, but it's the song called Dawn Patrol. It has a particular line that talks about, let me pull it up actually right now on my phone. All right. So the line goes, still we sleepwalk off to work as our nervous systems jerk, pretending not to notice how history has forebode us. And I'll leave you to interpret that how you like, but it seems like that's what's happening to almost all of humanity at this point. Just mindlessly repeating actions with no thought. And that kind of brings me to the title of this video. Modern gaming is turning us into zombies. Like The Walking Dead, a lot of us gamers just mindlessly seek to consume, especially with the concept of endless live service games. Almost all multiplayer games base their gameplay loops around some kind of battle pass, overpriced skins, or in some extreme cases like a pay-to-win item, something that just allows you to drop in the game and just destroy everyone else. And even one of my favorite video game franchises of all time has adapted this model. And it's extremely disheartening to see, as it was one of the first games I ever played that had so many unlocks one could earn by just playing the game. I'll give you a minute to think on what game it might be. Give you like 5 seconds. And that's right. The game is Halo 3. The Xbox 360 was already on a roll with the concept of achievements, which are essentially the virtual equivalent of Boy Scout badges. But Halo took this to a completely different level. We'll come back to this later. I'm gonna go on record right now and say that Halo 3 is the most fun game of all time. It had it all. A massive sandbox, a sense of scale and finality in the campaign, and most importantly, endless fun to be had in the multiplayer. One of the most unique aspects of the multiplayer was armor customization. If you're a younger gamer or somebody who hasn't experienced this, believe it or not, I've come across people who have never played Halo. This was truly mind-blowing. But you might be thinking, but Upward, I thought you said you didn't like skins in the game. Well, I'm about to blow your mind even more. All of the personalization items in the game were obtained not through a battle pass, not through a boring gameplay loop, not through real world money, nope. You had to do things in the game. Mind blown, I know. This ties things back to what I said about achievements. You had a reason to obtain achievements because they were linked to some of the armors in the game. Gamers today could never fathom this concept. The only way to get these armors were actually to have skill and play the game. You know how badass I looked walking around with the katana on my back and the EOD armor? All my friends were hyped up. They were like, "Oh man, dude, he beat the game on legendary, and he got all the skulls. Like, how do you even find those, man?" Like, they were hyping me up. I felt like a literal god in that game. Don't even get me started on lasso runs. I was actually like a speed runner, and I like utilizing glitches and stuff. This goes back to like a game one of the first multiplayer games I ever played, Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. So for some reason, like, my mind was just different from most of the kids. I wasn't one of those people that just like to run around in the game. Oh, the pretty colors. I like to shoot. Like I had like actual strategy. I was like perfecting games back then. There wasn't even a platinum trophy back then because the PlayStation didn't have platinums. But I was like 100% God. My original gamer tag, man, Killing Spee. Spee. I misspelled spree on purpose because somebody actually took it. The Upward Ninja name didn't come later until I was like obsessed with ninjas and got Tenchu Z. But that's a story for a different day. The game really was great. Halo 3. The experience was truly perfect. Now the newest Halo is littered with paid skins, battle passes to keep you pointlessly grinding, and the worst offense of all, tons of missing features that was in a game almost 20 years ago. Nothing is safe from these publishers enacting psychological warfare on the player base in order to keep them playing and keep them spending. So what can be done to resolve this glaring issue and fight back against the disease that is known as zombie gamer syndrome? The solution is simple. Don't try to keep up with the latest trends. I know that's extremely difficult in today's world. Of course, like most things that require change in life, this is easier said than done. For years, I was trying to find the next best thing, but after witnessing flop after flop, something just snapped inside of me. I mean, I saw No Man's Sky flop, Metal Gear Solid 5 flop, Fallout 4 flop, Cyberpunk flop, Halo Infinite flop, Starfield flop, Tears of the Kingdom flop. I could keep going. And you could, of course, include any yearly release in this category of pointless slop, like any sports game, 2K, Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed. You could probably see where I'm going with this. Now, here's a hot take. Even some of the most well-liked games, praised games, like Grand Theft Auto 5, are complete flops in my mind. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, those games make billions of dollars. Not even just GTA. All of the games I named probably make billions of dollars. But guess what? These games suck and you know it. They are soulless cash grabs meant to drain your wallet endlessly. GTA 5 and Red Dead 2 are some of the most overrated games I've ever played, and people praise Rockstar and Naughty Dog to no end. Oh yeah, and The Last of Us. I'll say that's also a garbage game that you can only really play through one time. It's basically an interactive movie. So what's next after you decided to stop keeping up with the Joneses? Simple. Play older games. I used to think that a lot of what people consider to be classics would just fall victim to the dreaded good for their time trope, but boy was I wrong. I'll never forget playing Silent Hill 2 for the first time about 4 years ago. See, I'm not one of these frauds that claim to have played like every great game of the past. I can't count the number of times I've even went into like big streamers chats and like messaged them about these games. And if I'm lucky enough to get a response, they'll actually lie and claim they're like, I'm a hardcore fan of whatever, insert series here. And then when I ask any specific detail, they'll make the claim that they were just a kid and when they played it, they forgot. Or they'll hit me with the classic, oh, that was 20 years ago. You can't expect me to remember every detail. But guess what? I actually remember like most of the details from these great games that I played in the past. These games were really childhood defining. So if anything, they should be more ingrained in your mind, but we're not going to get into that argument now. I always wonder why creators would lie to a bunch of strangers online. Is it ego? Is it some pathetic attempt to proclaim their real gamer card? Hell, I never even owned a PS2, so I have a lot of catching up to do. I'm not going to claim to have played all these great games. What I do is I fire up ye old emulator and get to playing. And let me tell you this, Silent Hill 2, back to that, is one of the greatest stories ever told. The concept of great for its time does not exist. I know that's like, there's a lot of like truth bombs that are dropping in this video. So if you need to pause and compose yourself, I don't blame you. But greatness does not have an expiration date. They were doing all this with old text, no update, no fix it in post attitude, no requirements to install the game and then wait for the update and then wait for them to fix this. It would just insert the disc or cartridge if you're an N64 fan and get to gaming. This inspired me to actually start like a whole bunch of older franchises to see if they overcome the so-called good for their time trope, and I have not been proven wrong. Right now, I'm actually on Metal Gear Solid. As a franchise, I just played Devil May Cry. That franchise sucks. It always has sucked. The only good one is 3 and 5. But Metal Gear Solid is actually pretty amazing. I'm on the second one so far, and it has been quite the ride. Such a great player experience. So I guess in closing, the message would be, what should I make the message of the day be? Alright, I got it. I want you to take away from this video this one thing. To value your own enjoyment over anything else. If you are not enjoying a game, or gaming in general in its current state, that is okay. With the overload of open world slop and Souls clones left and right and constantly being pressured into purchasing in-game currency, it's almost impossible not to want to leave it all behind. But I think sending a message that we favor soul over substance is much more important. Imagine if everybody watching this video chose to stream or watch games that they really loved over just chasing views. YouTube and Twitch dominated by video games that valued your experience over your wallet would be absolutely glorious. Sadly, I don't see that happening anytime soon, but perhaps there'll be another time.